welcome to Detroit in Black and White. This is Wednesday edition. I'm Adolph Mongo, Allan Lengel. We are truly Detroit in Black and White. What's up, Allan?
Not much. What's going on? I'm just trying to take a little sneak peek at the Pistons, but not much. We've got a lot going on in politics these days. It seems we got a lot of polls.
Yeah, why don't you talk about the polls? Well, hello, Jill Sheridan. Go ahead, Allan. Talk about
one of the polls that's come out showing that that Saeed El Saeed is up. I think it was 28%, followed by Haley Stevens at 18%, and Mallory McMorrow at 17%. It's a pretty wide swing from what it was. So is it real? I mean, it was by the Mitchell Group. They're, pretty legitimate. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, that's an interesting race, which we'll get into.
What was not undecided?
The undecided was very high. I'm trying to remember if it was about 30% or even higher. So I think it's one of those races where there's not, I mean, obviously people have some strong feelings about one candidate, but I think there's a pretty high percentage of undecided. And, then it becomes not only who you want, but then it becomes also an issue if you're a Democrat. It's like, who can beat Mike Rogers? And that becomes another thing, I mean, we have, El Saeed, who is, I guess, considered progressive, very to the left. He's got the endorsement of Bernie Sanders. Then we've got Mallory McMorrow, who's considered progressive, but not quite as far to the left. And then we have Haley Stevens, who's, down the middle. I mean, she's not, I wouldn't call her conservative by any means, but compared to the other two candidates. And so I guess the question becomes, who could knock off Mike Rogers? And that's going to be a determination. The question is the country going, or is at least the Democratic Party? And there's a difference between the country and the Democratic Party. I mean, if the Democratic Party has decided to go very to the left, is that going to work out in the general election where you have independents, you have some softer Republicans who are willing to vote for a Democrat, but they won't vote for somebody that far to the left. So, and then we've got some polls showing that Duggan is slipping. A poll taken by the Chamber of Commerce, I think by Glenn Gariff group, which is, again, another legitimate pollster, which is showing that that Duggan was slipping a little bit. And, we're getting to the point where we're close to June. The primary, I mean, Duggan doesn't have a primary, but the question is, I don't know. How do you feel about, what do you think about the governor's race? I mean, clearly Jocelyn Benson is going to get the Democratic nomination. I mean, it's between her and the sheriff from Genesee County, and he's just not going to pull it off. I mean, he's optimistic, but all the candidates they wouldn't run. So the question becomes, is Duggan going to be the spoiler, or is he going to be a legitimate contender? I don't know.
I think he's a spoiler.
Yeah.
But I don't count anybody out.
What do you think, Duggan? I mean, it seems Duggan has to pick it up outstate, Grand Rapids, up north, up in the Upper Peninsula. We think of Duggan as a brand name in some of those areas, even Traverse City area. Outside of Traverse City, a lot of people don't really have an idea who he is.
They don't know him. They don't know him in the western part of Michigan.
Right.
But he has a lot of money, and he could run advertising, and he's starting to run advertising.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Man, it's
yeah,
It's gonna be ugly.
Yeah, I've started to see his ads, and I mean, it's interesting. You see Charlie LaDuff has been doing the whole thing about the soil, the whole soil issue, and I saw Charlie was out in Northland and kind of getting in the faces of some of the people who are working out there and moving the dirt around, uh, and making accusations that it's bad dirt, but we don't know uh, about that dirt. And really, I mean, I think Charlie's a great reporter, but I think if you're going to make allegations about the dirt being bad, take a little hand shovel, take a little sample, take it over to a lab, have it tested, and see what's what. But I think that seems like the next logical step for you to do, and hopefully, we'll find out or whatever. And then we have he's trying to taint Duggan in this whole thing, and I don't know how. I don't know how big of a liability that whole soil thing is going to be, but if it gets down to it, I don't know if you have a three-way race. Do you just run a positive thing promoting yourself, or do
No,
you snipe it?
he's gonna have to get down and dirty.
And is he going to have to attack both? We assume John James and
Both,
and Jocelyn Benson.
both. But what did it tell you? If you know history,
Yeah.
Napoleon couldn't win on two fronts. He was fighting the British on one end,
Right.
the British and 5 other countries on one end, and the Russians on another end. And his soldiers froze to death, thousands of them in Russia.
Right.
Did Hitler learn anything from that? Because they did the same shit. They invaded Russia in the summertime, and they had summer uniforms.
Uh-huh.
And they was there in the wintertime. They still had summer uniforms.
Right.
So, yeah, this is what they have, and they lost. You cannot fight on two fronts.
Mm-hmm.
That means you fighting the Republicans in front of you, and the Democrats is behind him. He used to be a Democrat, and and nobody. He's gonna have to spend a whole lot of money just to stay in this race.
Right. Let's read a couple comments, and I'm curious about when I want to run one of the comments by you. Jill Sheridan says, hello, gentlemen. Edward Alt 5085 says, good evening, Detroit. Janet Overall, good evening, everyone. Janet Overall shared. Mr. 12-13, good evening, gents. Hazel Park Taekwondo, you can't sleep on Duggan. He comes from the McNamara machine.
I know about the machine. I worked in the machine.
And what do you think? What do you think of the machine? And
it's not my father's machine.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you.
And what do you mean by that?
That means that McNamara had everybody in place. He had about 5 downriver mayors, working for him, because the mayor of Southgate or Melvindale, Taylor, etc. Some of those cities was part-time mayors.
Right.
So they was working for the county.
Right.
So he had a machine, there's no question. Coleman Young had a machine.
Right.
But the machine was only good to keep the boss in office, and not to spread out and say, here's my person.
Mm-hmm.
McNamara was close to having that kind of machine. So,
right.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So someone says, okay, you can't sleep on Duggan. G Money Hollywood says, Allan Adolph, greetings. How are you guys this evening? Will not be with you guys too long. I am going to watch the Shaky Pistons. I've just turned off the TV because I don't want to be too distracted. They were winning by a few points, but rooting for a positive outcome. Go Pistons. Hazel Park Taekwondo. If Duggan won the write-in, you have to keep both eyes on him.
Well, there's people saying he ain't winning write-in. You
Yeah.
know, it's like that the folks that don't believe he won the write in, the same people that don't believe uh, Trump was uh, getting shot at and with
Right.
two assassination attempts. Man, it's unreal. He got the kind of people that would pay somebody to go carry a rifle to do some shit. So
What do you think of the strategy where you see the Democrats have really gone after him aggressively, saying, he's being backed by Republicans. He's
yeah, he's fair game.
they're
You
going
know,
after him in a hard way,
yeah,
and he comes back. His response is, "See, all they care about is attacking and stuff like that." He goes, I'm tired of the parties, bickering and stuff. I just want to get results. Is that effective? And is the
no,
Democrats' attack on him effective?
no, no. At this point, they're gonna have to expose him. Uh, it has to be. He has to be down and dirty, and doesn't know how to play dirty.
Yeah.
There's no question. Is when is he gonna come out and be dirty? Uh, when you have people changing parties, sometimes it's successful.
Hmm.
Well, here we and he just died not long ago. Don Regal. He
Mhm.
was a Republican, moderate Republican.
Right.
Fell out with Richard Nixon, and shit, he switched parties and ran for the U.S. Senate here and won.
Right.
Um, then you had Bill Lucas, who was the county exec,
Mhm.
switched parties, got the nomination for governor
Mhm.
on the Republican side,
Right.
and he got his ass kicked.
Right.
But not only he got his ass kicked, but Jim Blanchard, who was the governor then, who had beat him, figured 4 years from now, damn, I killed. Nobody can beat me. I did a landslide against the Republicans, and then when he ran against John Engler, I don't need Detroit. I don't need Coleman Young. And guess what? The Republicans that didn't support Lucas because they just thought he was fly by Republican,
Mhm.
they came home and
Right.
they voted for England. So yeah, and England beat James Blanchard. So we, Duggan is got a walk up the stairs. You can walk down 20 stairs.
Right.
That's easy if you in some kind of shape.
Right.
But how many people can walk back up those 20
Huh.
stairs?
Right. Right.
No, that's. I
Right.
lived in a building. I lived on the 21st floor,
Wow.
and I used to walk down the stairs to get some exercise. I didn't take the elevator. Then I said, "Well, I'm gonna walk up the stairs." But I said, even in my best days, if I was in good shape, it'd be hard to to walk up the stairs.
Right, right, for sure. So we've got Karen Winston saying, "Good evening, fellas. Mr. 12-13. Is it true that Mayor Sheffield appointed Fred Durhall to a position on the Downtown Development Authority?"
Yeah, yeah. I saw Durhall tonight.
Oh,
That's
really? Uh-huh.
Yeah. He was nominated and he's gonna get elected. Durhall is also her lobbyist for the city in Lansing.
Right, right. He's a
Yeah.
pretty able. I think he's a pretty.
Oh, he's smart guy. You
Yeah, yeah.
know.
He's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
We have Les Dash Moore says Adolph Tamaric Tamara Komet. Good evening, DIB and W, Detroit in black and white. Les Moore, all dirt placements need to be looked into. I agree. I think we have to get a better idea of what's going on. And, I mean, Northland, look, if Charlie's out there, they're building a massive development there, a housing development. And if Charlie is putting shade on there and saying this is all contaminated. I mean, no one's going to want to move there. They have to prove, and they should do their own testing and show here we've tested the dirt and the dirt is fine. Or if it's not, you got problems. It says Tamara Kemet says Duggan is the Bernie Madoff of Detroit. He's a crook, racist, and thief. Do you think, and I'll ask you, Adolph, is that a fair characterization to characterize him as racist?
No, he's not. He's not a racist.
Okay.
He might be a bigot, but he's not a racist. And you can call any politician a crook and thief. People say. I'm gonna tell you, my grandfather didn't like the supervisor of Royal Oak Township. I was a little boy. He said he was a crook. He was a thief. Anyway, my grandfather from South Carolina, my mother's father. We went up to the township, Royal Oak Township Hall, where the supervisor office was. My grandfather had a meat cleaver. I never forget that. He was going to take him out. My mother, man, they got him, before he did anything. I never forget that. He had a meat cleaver in his hand. That was unbelievable. But fast forward, when I was 14 years old, he wasn't a supervisor. He was the head of the public housing out there. Anyway, he ran for supervisor, the same guy my grandfather didn't like, hired me to work on his campaign, pass out flyers and stuff. Paid me $100. My grandfather found out about it, and he was like, "What did he pay you?" I said $100. He never said anything else after that.
That's
and
funny.
I was $100. $100. That was
a lot of money.
Yeah, that was a lot of money.
Back in the day.
Yeah,
why
but
don't we take a commercial break and we'll come right back. We've got a lot more comments to answer, and we're going to talk about, Adolph, your column that you wrote in Deadline Detroit about the Black and Arab community and the Black voters and the Arab American candidates. You wrote
okay, well, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Okay, we're back. Yeah, why don't you read a few more?
Read a few more and then we'll get to it.
Yeah.
G-Money Hollywood, I do not have confidence that he will carry or even have decent representation on the western side of the state. I assume he's talking about Duggan, but he will make an impact on the southeastern side. He will do well in Metro Detroit.
That's where all the votes at.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's certainly a bigger thing here. And then we got Les Moore says, looks like Duggan set Mayor Sheffield up. And I'm not sure if he's talking about the dirt or whatever, but look, she was approving those contracts and for her boyfriend or love interest or whatever it was. I mean, there's talk that they certainly dated in 2019, but there's talk that they actually had a longer relationship than that. And what the truth is, she knows, and her
Well, she knows, and she should have recused herself from it.
right. So I'm not sure she's a total innocent in the whole soil thing, because she was involved in approving that. And so, but Duggan did skate out of town on that in the middle of, and I thought he pulled kind of a fast one by having the Detroit police investigating it, when you can't have an investigation like that when it could be beyond the dirty soil. It could be have the tentacles in City Hall, and that's an FBI investigation. Go ahead.
That reminds me of at one time when I was working for Coleman Young at the city.
Yeah.
They had a NBD, National Bank of Detroit, which is now Chase,
Right.
put a red flag on checks coming from the city, income tax refund checks.
Mm-hmm.
Never before had they seen refund checks that $500, $1,000, $2,000 city income tax. It was like, got to be something wrong. So the city, Coleman appointed the income tax director to investigate. Guess who was the head of the scheme? The director of income tax.
Right.
Yeah, he was the one doing all. He had the people stealing the money, which is that's why you don't investigate yourself.
Exactly.
You get somebody to investigate on your behalf.
Right.
So,
here's Edward Alt 5085 says, I don't think Duggan's got long enough money to make it to the general. Well, he's going to
be in the general.
Yeah, he'll be in the general automatic. He doesn't have to go through a primary since he's an independent, but strategically he has to figure out, and maybe, and this better, running campaigns. How do you pace yourself? Do you go all out during the primary and act as if you're running for the primary, or do you kind of pace yourself and wait for the general?
Yeah, I'm gonna be waiting. On a campaign, and I ran a campaign with the late Joanne Watson when she was running for the special in a special election, replaced Brenda Scott, who had passed away unexpectedly.
Right.
And was running against Gil Hill, who had lost the mayor's race to Kwame, and he wanted to get back on council. Now, we took a poll, and he had 88% name recognition. Joanne had 8%. But what money we had, we started running commercials, and I had people tell me, oh, it's too early to run commercials, etc. But it worked.
Right.
We finished second to him in the primary,
and
then we beat him in the general.
Mm-hmm.
And it was while he was sitting over at Fishbones every morning drinking coffee, or drinking a scotch in the evening at Fishbones. Because that was his hangout.
Right.
Joanne was out in the streets, in the neighborhood, and doing what she needed to do. And then when we ran the final buy for commercials, where it says Gil Hill has been on the city council for 12 years. Under his watch, thousands of people left Detroit. Under his watch, the state took over the school board. Under his watch, there was this many murders. What has Gil Hill done? He was the president of the council for 4 years. Can you name anything that Gil Hill has done. And what people told me after the election, that commercial worked because they kept thinking, what did Gil Hill do for 12 years? They
Right.
couldn't name anything. And then Gil Hill got on TV saying, Joanne Watson blaming me for the plague and everything else. and basically, that's what we was doing. So
I have a question. You've run a lot of campaigns, and you ran the campaign for Coleman Young Jr. when he was going up against Duggan. I mean, most people thought no shot. I mean, you go into that as a long shot because Duggan's the incumbent. Duggan's got a name. He's got a record.
What Coleman Young was doing, he wanted to be on city council. Really,
is that what it was?
We looked at it, you know, it would have been great if he'd have won, but no, he did what he wanted to do, and Duggan didn't take him for granted. Duggan spent all his money. He spent a lot of money,
right?
And you know, just in case, because if you saw the debate with him and Coleman Young and Duggan, Coleman Young wiped him clean.
Right. He was taking shots at him, and he would put him on the defensive.
Yes, he sure did. And Duggan respected Coleman for that. And when he ran, finally, when he was running for city council, he endorsed him. So, you know, so it worked out. You know, there's a method to this madness.
And do you see some candidates who are really just trying to make a name for themselves, trying to get the voters familiar, like Kinloch? Kinloch got wiped out. I mean, it was a landslide. Is Kinloch just putting his name out there for the next time, or did he expect that he might win?
Understood that he got in the race late.
Yeah.
That he took advice from folks that they didn't give him good advice.
Mm-hmm.
He was new to the game. But like I told the Reverend, who I supported and I liked, and I thought he'd be a good mayor, whether he had any experience or not as a politician. I said, just be yourself. You built your church up to 40,000 members or more.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You got a message, and that's the kind of message people want to have. But Mary got out there a year or two before anybody, raised all the money, and there, you know, she was like, she had a head start. You running a 400 meters, she already was ahead by 100 meters before you even got in the starting block.
What do you think she did right, and what do you think she did wrong? I mean,
got in early. She got endorsements, and because if she had somebody that started Nate with her, they would have beat her. To me, I still don't think she's ready for prime time. I see all these press conferences, these talking to the media. She got 30 people standing behind her. You know, I don't get that. Maybe that's the new thing, that when people have a press conference, they surrounded by all these folks and stuff. But maybe, I don't know. You know, still, she still hasn't said anything that's going to make me think that, well, some of this stuff is going to change. She's going to bring development to the neighborhoods. She's going to bring back shopping and food stores, etc. I'm waiting to see.
Nothing yet. Yeah, nothing yet. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Do you see Kinloch is coming back again another time?
I don't think he's going away. I don't think he's going away.
Okay.
You know, and people say, oh, you know, he's a preacher. Mary Sheffield's a preacher. She been ordained.
Right.
In the black church, that's where politics started.
Right.
In the black church after slavery, the church is the one that controlled the community. So the church always been political. So I never bought that. Oh, he need to stay in the church. Church has always been there and always been involved. Some of the people that made things happen was ministers. Well, we can look at on the national level, Martin Luther King, Rab Abernathy, all these people, Ben Hooks, all these people was ministers.
Right.
You know, right here, when I wrote about in Deadline Detroit about the Shrine of the Black Madonna, the Black Slate, that political arm endorsed, what's his name?
El Sayed. Abdul
El Sayed. Yeah. Who started that church was a minister, Reverend Albert Clegg, better known as Jeramogi. So, yes.
And you mentioned that the Black Slate did help Coleman Young get elected back in 73, the first time, and they helped other Black candidates. And what you were writing about was that you felt like that
we shouldn't support Arab candidates. They don't support us. They don't support us. They don't vote for us. They made sure that let their community know. And the spokespeople, Rashida Tlaib, and others, the mayor of Dearborn Heights at the time, and the mayor of Hamtramck, who was Arab, they went with Trump, and they told their people to vote for Trump, and the majority of the folks in Dearborn voted for Trump. But they want our vote. We buy from their gas stations, their party stores. We make them millionaires. Their coffee shops, they owning all the coffee shops now. You go and we support them. They don't support us. I'm gonna tell you a story. When I was growing up, my mother had a friend. She was a Jehovah's Witness, and my mother used to get the watchtower. That was a Jehovah's Witness.
I remember that. Sure.
Yeah. But my old man is like, he didn't believe in that. He was a Methodist, belonged to the Methodist church. Anyway, she supported her. That was her friend. And then when her church had a fish fry, she was selling tickets. They was raising money. She went to a friend and said, "Can you buy some tickets?" And she said, "No, Jehovah's Witnesses can't do that. We don't support folks." So she stopped taking it. And the woman was like, "Why? What the fuck you think? Right. She supports you, but you won't support her." It's the same way with the Arabs that come into the neighborhoods. They get paid, and we support them. We vote for their candidates. And then when there's time for them to come and step up to the plate, whether you agree with them or not, they most of them, what did they think Trump was going to do?
Right.
Yeah, and then afterwards is buyer remorse. Well, I shouldn't have voted for him. My nephew going to school got swept up by ICE and they gone. They sending people back to countries that these folks, they've been over here since they was 1 or 2 years old. They don't speak the language. They might look like the people, but they not that person. I've been to Africa. I saw people that look like me, same way in Brazil, but I don't speak the language. I'm not part of that culture. So I can't say, oh, I'm, uh, I'm I could have been born there, and
Right.
still I feel the same way. So I got people saying, "Oh, the lesser of two evils." There's no lesser of two evils. Uh, you know, the if if a man is gonna get the nomination for the Senate, he's gonna lose big time. He's gonna do a figure. He's gonna do a figure. So no, do not.
Well,
I said don't waste your vote.
uh,
And I said payback is a mother, and we got to pay them back. They gotta understand that you just can't keep taking. You got to give a little. You got to do something that's different.
what was your reaction to the column? What were people telling you? What kind of
I had
feedback?
people overwhelmingly saying yes, especially when I asked the black slate to rescind that damn endorsement.
And what is the black slate? What kind of feedback have you gotten from the black slate?
I can't even say on this show, because
And we're allowed to swear on this show.
yeah, but I understand.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
swearing. I'm trying
Right.
not to swear.
Interesting. There was another article, and I'm curious if it really matters to people. There was Politico, which is a very legitimate publication in Washington, did a story about El Said, saying that he's got incredible credentials in terms of he went to University of Michigan Med School. He got his medical degree from, I think, Columbia University, well, fine schools. He has a doctorate from Oxford in public health. But they were saying that he never got his doctor's license in Michigan or New York. And then he says he's a physician, and they say he's really not a physician because he really hasn't treated patients. I don't know I don't see that as really a big issue.
I do.
Do you see that, and tell me?
Yeah, I do. Because now he has this MD,
Right.
but he never practiced. It's like I go to law school, get my law degree.
Right.
Technically, it's a doctorate, whatever you want to call it, but you can't practice law.
Right.
I know technically, can he practice medicine? Did he do an internship? No, I don't think so. Right. He's one of those. He's one of those people. That he got the degrees, but there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
I haven't heard him say that he had patients and he was treating them.
I mean, he said, "I'm a physician," and stuff like that. Some people feel like he's
not a physician. I don't think he. No, I don't think.
Some people complain that he's misrepresenting himself, but
yeah,
he says, I think in med school he did some rotations or whatever, but he said, I decided not to be a doctor, that I wanted to be more addressing systemic health issues. So he was ahead of the Detroit.
You ever see that comedian? He's from Korea. He's on the Masked Singer or whatever. He's a funny guy.
Uh-huh.
He's a doctor.
Right.
He can call himself a doctor because he used to practice medicine.
Right.
But he doesn't practice medicine anymore.
You're talking about the Asian comedian?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, he's a doctor. He got an MD, went to Duke.
Right.
Yeah. He doesn't practice anymore, but he practiced. Yeah. He's more of a doctor than El Said.
Yeah. So we'll see how, I guess the question becomes, if he wins the primary, can he beat Mike Rogers.
Yeah.
And I would think, center is always safest, unless you're just a total dynamo. I mean, look, even, people.
Before you go, I wanted to answer
Yeah. Okay.
Lester Moore. He said, who was the black guy? That was Ron Brown.
Okay.
The head of, he wasn't the head of the commerce. Was he head of the commerce department? He might have been. Yeah.
Okay.
Ron Brown.
Yeah, right.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I mean, the question becomes, people talked about Obama being to the left or whatever. Obama was really a centrist. People talked about Bill Clinton when he was running, that he was like too liberal, but those guys were pretty much centrist. They weren't.
Bill Clinton was basically a conservative Democrat.
Right, like also not quite a blue dog.
Right,
Democrat,
but he was there. He was close. He was there.
Yeah.
And I seen conservative Democrats. Dick Lamb, governor of Colorado in the 70s,
right,
was a conservative Democrat. But I always said if he moved to Michigan, he'd be a moderate Republican, a Milliken Republican.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe, what's his name from West Virginia? Joe Manchin.
Yeah, Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin was
a real conservative Democrat.
He was a blue dog.
More. Yeah, and if he was elected in the 60s as a Democrat, he'd have probably been a Republican. So when they left the Democratic Party and they all became Republicans,
right.
All Strong, Thurman, and them was staunch Democrats,
right.
And they was pissed at Lyndon Johnson because Lyndon Johnson flipped the switch on them.
Right.
So they all, boom, went over. So
yeah, it's crazy. Should we take another break?
Go ahead.
Let's do that, and we'll come back.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Yeah, there's folks saying that Kinlock had poor advisors. I agree.
Yeah.
He was listening to the wrong people.
Right.
There's no question about it.
We got one. Benny Napoleon cannot be forgotten. I think what also has been Ray Washington has had quite a bouncy time in that position there. He's been dogged by the lawsuits and allegations, and now the latest. There's something that I can't figure out what's going on with that. Channel 7 reported that there was a picture of a penis that was up.
I don't even believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was there. The question is, how did it get there? I mean, I can't imagine that Ray would be either that drunk or just that foolish to do something like that. I mean, there's always a possibility he did it by mistake, but there's also it seems more likelihood that somebody hacked the site, tried to frame him on that, because that just seems so out there. I mean, that you would do that. By the way, somebody gave me the proper pronunciation for, now I can't find it, for turmeric Kemet. But anyways, Mike Bunch 3443 says Abdul killing it in the polls. Kenneth Powell 2145 heard one of the commercials about the summer programs today. Not assume, sorry, not sorry, unbelievable with this new youth here today. Deborah Harris, the church is community. How much is the church still play? Do you think the church still has a very strong hold on the political?
Not like they used to.
And why? Why do you say that?
And you're right, Eric. It started in '48 when Strom Thurmond became a Dixiecrat. He ran. Yeah, they were Dixiecrats, but most of them were still Democrats. And the latest, Richard Shelby, who was a governor, not the governor, a senator from Alabama, got elected with all these black votes. And he went to D.C. and a month later he switched parties, became a conservative Republican. So yeah, they've been doing it. Ben Iron Horse or White Horse, he was from Colorado. He Native American, switched parties, became a Republican because he said no, the Democrats disrespected him. One thing that you see a lot of Democrats switch over to Republicans, but very seldom do you see prominent Republicans switch over. Eric say the black church is a joke politically, but it hadn't been that way because some of the best politicians we had in Detroit were ministers and stuff, and the ministers guided us for a long time. It may be a joke now, but it wasn't a joke before. So when you say it's a joke, put a date on when it became a joke.
Les Moore says, thing is that Arab merchants slaved to supply our community. What do you think about some of the stores run by? I mean,
nasty. Meat is all fucked up. I wouldn't buy shit from them. Not all of them. Not all of them, but you can't stop at some of the gas stations because they encourage a lot of these folks. They encourage a lot of these folks to stand out there. They buy stolen goods and all kind of other stuff. And their lobby is strong. There's no question that we had a candidate for city council. He ran. We had him on the show, Chief Pharaoh Mohammed, who's an actor now and plays in Detroit. When he was running for city council, he said we need to have full service gas stations, at least at some of these places. And they lobbied against him. You thought he was a second coming of the new politician. And he was just starting out. They spent a lot of money. Oh no, we can't have that. And it's a safety thing. Say, have a full service and have a security guard out there. Stop a lot of that. When last time you got gas after 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 7 o'clock in Detroit?
In Detroit, now I won't do it. In the suburbs, I'll do it at 11 o'clock, midnight, whatever. But
it depends on what part of the suburbs, because you can go to Warren and
right.
Some of these areas, Hazel Park, you don't want to do that either.
But I'll do it in Royal Oak, Berkeley, Huntington Woods, whatever. Ferndale, which is along the Woodward corridor. When I go back down, to Detroit, back home, I'll do it anytime. But in the city, I'll only do it during the day. Somebody was asking, a couple of people were asking, I assume they're talking about Abdul El Sayed, who says, is he a researcher? And they said, did he pass the board test? I thought he had a PhD. he has an MD. He went to University of Michigan Med School. He got his medical degree from Columbia, which is a great medical school. He has a PhD in like a health administration from Oxford. So he has his MD, a doc, and he also has a PhD, I believe, in health administration. I think it's a PhD. But then did he pass the board test? I mean, he does not have a license. I don't know all the terms for whatever, but he doesn't have a medical license currently to practice as a physician here or in New York, where he went to school. So, I guess, he's certainly knowledgeable about health, and he has a plan about health.
But he's not a physician.
But he's not a physician.
Yeah, and don't call him. Deborah Harris says, let me see. She said urban churches that engage in addressing issues like homelessness, poverty, and loneliness are still seen as vital, trustworthy partners. And I think so too. There's a Church of Messiah on the east side. That's a church that they deal with a lot of ex felons, people that have been incarcerated, that work there. They help develop housing, and those we still got some churches that that does some things. And if you go over to Triumph on some certain days, they got a food giveaway. They do a lot of stuff. They got a lot of people, and they employ folks and stuff. Those are churches that that's doing things. That church on 7 Mile, the Winans Church. It's an eyesore. It's stopping development over there.
The one on Woodward there? Woodward and
yes, it's been there 20 years.
What's going on with that?
What you tell me? They need to tear the fucker down.
I mean, it looks like they're always just about to open. It looks like they're almost ready.
And they need to tear the fucker down. This is not the same church in Barcelona where they've been building on it for 300 years. But you can go in that church. It's a beautiful church. They still got services, but they have found a money maker. They be adding on to it.
Right.
There's nothing. I don't think there's nothing inside there. But they get a pass because politically, they supported the mayor. They support they support these politicians.
Well, let me ask
I would, if I was running for office in Detroit, I would use that as what's wrong with our politicians. You let a fucking church take all this property and they don't do anything with it. And then you try to hide them when you got the PGA coming to town and you try that's unbelievable.
Right.
Go ahead.
When we talk about the influence of the church, I think a lot of people thought, okay, Reverend Kinloch has 2 churches in Detroit, and Southfield and everywhere else.
He got 40,000 people.
And people thought, well, he's already got a built-in base. He's got a great chance of winning.
But everybody don't live in Detroit that go to his church. 2, there's a lot of people in the church don't want him to go.
Right.
They want him to stay. 3, he got into the race late.
Right.
And didn't really get his message out there. And I'm sure if he decided to run for whatever office, he would do it different.
Right.
There's no question about it. He's articulate, he's smart, he know the community. I'm gonna tell you, he probably know the community better than the mayor we got now. You know, so this is just me talking. You
Well,
know,
let me ask you, if you were running now, let's say next year was the election, what would be the two top issues that you would campaign that you think would resonate with the voters and make people say, yeah,
schools and neighborhoods.
yeah.
Schools is that the city need to take over the schools
Huh.
because the way it's going, you're not gonna have any students.
Hmm.
People are not having kids like they used to. When I was growing up, there was 8 or 9 families that had 9 or 10 or 11 kids.
Mhm.
When I look back at that, I said, "Damn, they got 3 bedrooms where everybody's sleeping at. You know, one bathroom.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, it's like, but people are not having kids like that.
And the neighborhoods, when you
And
say the neighborhoods, it's kind of a broad, what is it in the neighborhood? Like building up commerce, the commercial
right,
district?
you need real grocery stores. You need real fucking grocery stores. You need shopping. You need a good school in the neighborhoods. If you can give Dan Gilbert all his money, and you get Tom Gorse, the Illiches, you need to say you have to build a school. You
Mm.
have to build a fucking school. You know, we got mad at Thompson, who built some schools. Those schools are still running. You know, he came in there and he said, "I'm gonna build me some schools, some elementary, junior high, high schools. They
Right.
still there.
When
But
I
we
when I
need we need more people to do that."
when I think of the neighborhoods, some that have kind of thriving commerce, I think obviously Livernois has come back as a vibrant commercial district, Rosedale Park. Uh, but then you see so many other places, Grand River, where there's just miles of stores that have disappeared after '67.
Well, you listen. I used to take the bus. I remember the theater down there, the Beverly. Used to go there. Then there's the Riviera that was 24 hours.
Mhm.
You can go there on a Saturday, come, leave out of there on a Monday if you wanted see the movie marathon. But yeah, people want a safe neighborhood. They want the police to be able to show up. They want uh, good schools to send their kids, and they want to be able to go to a real grocery store, not this shit that they got to go to and deal with folks. A lot of them don't even speak English. They put them there, and if somebody's in the store and somebody's gonna rob the customer, they lock the doors. They don't let you out or whatever. It's just I have to give people credit for surviving in Detroit
But
because it's
some of the
survival,
gas
man.
So it seems like some of the gas stations, unfortunately, are little supermarkets for neighborhoods that don't have any, not that there's fresh produce. I sometimes you can get milk or bread, but everything else is just
Well, you can see
processed food.
you can see some of the store owners go over to Kroger's. They got 3 Krogers in Dearborn,
Mhm.
and they shop there because they buy in bulk. Whether at Kroger's or whether at Costco's and Sam's Club, and they mark the shit up 3, 4, 5 times of what the shit costs. Especially if you go to Costco's or whatever, and you sell it. But if you can't get rid of it, you keep it. You keep it. You keep it, and then you change the date to the shit. You can go to some of these grocery stores, so-called grocery stores, and you can see some of the meat don't even look good, and it's still sitting out there, and people still buying it, and then they mark it down 2 for 1 and all this other shit.
But I don't know where you go shopping in the city, but I think Harbortown, I think, is a pretty good supermarket. Not cheap. It's not one of the cheaper ones. I go to Meyer on Jefferson.
Yeah.
I go to Whole Foods. I've been to some of the other ones, but not really. Those are primarily the Meyer on Jefferson and Harbortown on occasion, and Whole Food on Woodward, just because convenient.
And we can have a Kroger. Kroger got 20 different. They got about 10 different stores across the country under different names. They can't bring a fucking store here in Detroit.
I'd love to see Trader Joe. I think we've talked about this before. I tried to get Trader Joe. I did a column about it.
Trader Joe is in Detroit.
Trader Joe?
It's in the DMC. It's in the Hermanos. Well, it's inside there. We got Chick-fil-A been inside the hospital.
Okay. But those are just little convenience stores.
Yeah, but they there.
Yeah.
It's like it just behooves me for how they do this shit.
Right.
But you got to have somebody to advocate to say you can't do this, or you need to do this. Mm-hmm. You have to shame some of these folks,
right?
Because Max Fisher, L. Tubman, who built malls, told Coleman, we can't build a mall here in Detroit because we don't have the people. And Coleman Young say, well, who the fuck you think keep Northland and all these other places in business? Detroiters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just say you don't want to build the shit here in Detroit.
Right.
You don't care about building it in Detroit.
Right. Yeah, there's no question. You've seen, there are more stores. Myers has 3 stores in Detroit. We're seeing a little bit more, but we're still not seeing enough. But back not so long ago, everybody in Detroit was going. You see people in Royal Oak at Holiday Market or Kroger on Woodward. Detroiters were shopping everywhere but in Detroit. And so there's money here.
But build it on the outskirts. I always thought the Black Lives Matter, they marched up and down fucking Michigan Avenue and never asked for shit. This is a time when he said, hey, corporate America, just what you do. Dan Gilbert went to Apple and said, you need to put a fucking store in Detroit. Everybody else got one. Guess what? They got one.
Nike. They got a bunch of those stores there. Lululemon.
Yes.
Warby Parker glasses.
They making money. There's no question. You look at Kentucky Fried Chicken. At one time, Brady Keys, an ex-football player, owned all the Burger Kings and Kentucky Fried Chicken, made millions of dollars.
Right.
And then he sold the Kentucky Fried Chicken back to the corporate.
Mm-hmm.
They decided they never gonna give one person the ownership of these stores in Detroit because they was making money. They never had to promote it or whatever. It was a gold mine.
Mm-hmm.
LeVan Hawkins took them to court trying to buy Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
So I guess we went over a little bit,
There's Tamara Gabat says, Allan, why are white people racist? Look, there's bigoted people in every denomination and every race and ethnic, and it's out of ignorance. But what can you say?
Well, you're right. How do you answer that?
Yeah.
Because I listen, Allen, if somebody racist and done something crazy because they white, I'm not going to you and say you need to apologize.
Huh.
It's like somebody black do something, I got to apologize. Get the
Right.
fuck out. Listen, they don't represent me.
Right. Right.
If I did something, then that's another situation. So
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah.
uh,
All
eh, eh,
right.
yeah,
Well, I think we hit the 105 mark here. So
yeah. So what your final thought, Alan?
my final thoughts. I mean, it's interesting. I talked to Haley Stevens today. I did a little story in Deadline Detroit. She's talking about Trump's visit to China, and she said she's worried. I mean, right now they're keeping Chinese cars out of the U.S., particularly the electric vehicles, because they're built cheaper. They use cheaper labor. The government subsidizes those cars, and they see it as unfair competition here. She was saying that she fears that Trump might make a deal with China, who is friends with Iran, if China can get Iran to back down or whatever and make Trump look good, she's fearing that Trump might let some of the Chinese cars in and create havoc in the economy and stuff like that. There's an argument for we shouldn't resist free commerce, but whatever. But anyways, I think the races are starting to heat up. There's not a lot of time. We got June, July, and then the primary is early August. So, uh, I mean, interesting. It's always an interesting year when when there's a campaign and issues. I mean, the good part is that issues start coming up and people have to address those issues that they've been able to ignore for whatever many years. So,
Well, ain't no question. I hear that Trump told Iran if you stop, we won't bomb you anymore, and name the country after him, Trump land.
yeah, yeah.
Instead of the Middle East, Trump East. You know.
Right.
But anyway, I want to thank everybody that participated in the show tonight. Teresa, thank you very much. Alan, we'll be back.
All right.
There's no question. And just came in. The Pistons have surrendered. It's over with.
They're winning by but not
They
much.
not, they not gonna play a game 4. The Pistons have surrendered. They cried uncle. It's over with, Alan.
All right. Well, it might save some aggravation on the part of Piston fans.
Well, they just signed Isaiah Thomas. He's out on the court.
We might have a shot.
55-year-old Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, Les Moore, that's right. We should do a documentary. Hey, guys, y'all was great tonight. Come back with us on Friday.
All righty.